There are plenty of reasons behind what erupted in Ferguson 5 years ago. Among them, if you believe the critics, is the way the legal system operates.
What we are calling for justice to be achieved.
In the 5 years since the unrest, voters have spoken on that topic, electing a pair of self-proclaimed reformers, Kim Gardner in the city, Wesley Bell in St. Louis County, to the top prosecutors' positions.
People are starting to understand when we look at our incarceration rates being the highest in the world, when we see that this supposed law and order approach has only increased violent crimes and serious crimes across the country, I think people are starting to get it.
But entry into office has not been easy. Both have received pushback since taking charge. Gardner's situation has been the most visible. After her office charged disgraced Missouri Governor Eric Greitens with invasion of privacy in connection with the sex scandal that led to his resignation, one of her investigators was charged by a special prosecutor with perjury and tampering with evidence in the case. The indictment against him also went after Gardner, but she was never charged with anything. She spoke about it on MetroSTL.com's JACO report.
Well, I can't speak to what, the internal thinking of a special prosecutor, but I do know in terms of how an indictment is supposed to be formed, and that causes concerns and ethical concerns as a prosecutor, and understanding that we are guided by certain guidelines and rules. And regardless of individual thoughts or opinions of personal nature, those are not put in an indictment because that is improper and it's not fair.
Gardner has openly said this is part of a pushback effort against her aim to reform the system.
And it's about cronyism and status quo. And when you are a reform-minded prosecutor, that you're about changing systems, you're going to have pushback, but pushback in ways that you would never expect. And I think that it's bigger than just Kim Gardner. It's about silencing the people of the city of St. Louis who elected me to make reforms that are needed in a system that has been broken, that has not worked, that needs to be changed.
Bell's challenges have been different, but also pronounced. As he was taking office, his prosecutors unionized, joining the often controversial St. Louis Police Officers Association.
As prosecutors, we are struggling nationwide to disassociate ourselves with the notion that we are too interdependent with law enforcement, and this sets us back.
Rather than answering direct questions about pushback, Bell segued into the changes he's trying to make, including the doing away with cash bail and providing programs instead of jail time for low-level offenders.
Instead of starting that cycle of incarceration, we're treating the underlying root cause. Now, I want to make sure it's clear. We are not talking about serious and violent offenders. They have to be held accountable. We understand that, and we're continuing to do that. What we're not going to do is to continue to incarcerate the nonviolent and low-level offenders who pose no threat to our community. But instead, we want to give them the treatment that they need, and that brings crime rates down. That saves taxpayer dollars, and it helps people.
Both have given ammunition to critics. Bell, with his early firing of 3 top prosecutors and his slew of parking tickets in his county-provided car. Gardner, in addition to what happened with Greitens, saw more than 25% of her prosecutors leave the office in her first 6 months, according to a St. Louis Post-Dispatch account.
I fight every day because it's not about me.
But both insist they will push forward, even if others do push back. Gardner says her current staff tells the story of what's ahead.
They're doing their job. They're holding violent individuals accountable, but at the same time, we're reforming a system that needs to be reformed so we can make our city safer.
George Sells, MetroSTL.com.